points. That's when time of possession is important, and when you're playing a quick strike team like Texas A&M, you know, one of the things you have to do is hang on to the football, but you got to get points on those drives. Defensively, we actually, I thought, performed admirably to hold them to 38 points. What we really take out of that is we cut our missed tackles, spatial missed tackles in half from a year ago. I thought we really tackled extremely well in that football game. You know, it's amazing that you have more total yards than the Aggies. You have the ball for 43 minutes and you still lose 38-10. You know, one of the things when you play up like that, you make mistakes. You know, they make you pay a price, and that's what happened to us. But I thought you know, what we needed to get better at after the Notre Dame game, we did. I thought our punt coverage was much improved. I thought our punt return, we had the one long punt return called back. I was really pleased, though, with how we performed on our coverage units, and we'll continue to get better. We've taken this film. We'll improve on that game, looking extremely forward to the Old Dominion game, our first Conference USA game. Old Dominion is new to the conference, but they're a very good football team. Their quarterback, Heinicke, was won the Walter Camp Award, which is equivalent to the Heisman. He's a great player. He's thrown for over 12,000 yards in his career there. I think Coach Wilder. It's a very similar. We've only been in existence as only had a football program the last 5 years. It's a very similar story to UTSA. They went to the FCS playoffs in 11 and 12. They're playing really good football. So for really a startup program, they have beat 3 FBS schools. So they're playing well. They're confident, and you know they're going to be extremely excited on their first Conference USA playing the defending champions. We'll have our hands full. We'll have to take the lessons from these first 2 games and put it all together in our 3rd game of the season and try to do our best to open a conference with a win. We have a nice home winning streak. We play extremely well at home, and I know our players will be excited about our first home game, first Conference USA game, so I'm not worried about any letdowns.
Dave, how different is it that you are going into a conference opener and you're the defending champion, you know, compared to previous years, having that title and maybe that defense mode now?
Well, you know what, actually it's something we're excited about, to be able to say we're defending champions, and even with a 0-2 start, you know, our goals are still intact to repeat, and that's something to get excited about. I think our players, you know, if you see them after a game, you go into every game and you want to win. And it hurts when you lose. It hurts even when you lose to the Texas A&M. The day it doesn't hurt you to lose is the day you need to get out of football. So, you know, there's no moral victories, because you go into the locker room after a loss and you're hurt, and you try to take that pain, and we got to get it behind us, and we got to get ready for a home opener.
Coach, Travis Jackson's team has just really just made the right decisions, made the right choices when to run, when not to run, comfortable. His level of command in the offense, can you speak to that?
Yeah, and you know what, I tell you what, too, we had 0 turnovers in that game. And that's Draka's decision-making. You saw there was 4 times, you take that first game against Notre Dame, and you see the improvement he had in his decision-making, where he threw the ball away 4 times. You know, we didn't do that in that first game. So he's a true student of the game. He's a true leader of this football team. I thought he was magnificent in how he led the team on his play choices. I was very pleased with his decision-making. I was very pleased. You know, one of the things, though, we still have to work on is our communication sometimes from the sideline. And a lot of it, there's 103,000 people, and it get loud, and he's trying to get everybody on the same page, where we're using too much clock. But that's something that, you know, that we'll work on this week, and he'll get better. I was really pleased with our running game in this one. I thought our offensive line did an incredible job opening holes. I thought our running backs ran extremely hard. But a lot of that, you know, you trace everything back to the quarterback. There's a lot we put on him, and I think he's really responded.
Coach, you just talked about the offensive line. If you can kind of trace back from last year to this year, not a lot of drop-off in the way you guys are running against Texas A&M. Any indication as to how that's going to transition to the conference?
Well, you sure hope it can, if we can run against the Aggies, you sure hope we can build on that. But you see, too, from week 1 to week 3, the progress we made in the offensive line, addressing some of the even the fundamentals of the position. I think Coach Ben Clark did a good job of getting those guys ready to play. I thought our pass protection against a very good, we're A&M's biggest improvement this year. They're great offensively, but it's really defensively. They've played a lot. They're sound, they're in their gaps. I think Coach Snyder, that side of the football is where the Texas A&M has made the biggest strides. I was pleased with the way our offensive line picked up their blitzes, and a lot of that's Matt Simonet and Dreyfus getting us in the right protections.
David, it obviously has something to do with opponents, but Jawan, before this last game, was talking about the first game against Notre Dame and how he felt the running game never got going. He took responsibility, but to see that progression that you're talking about, whether it's the line and working with them and communication or going off the ball, how big just see your unit maybe reach that potential?
Well, the good news is really we have Jawan here today, so you'll get a chance to talk to him. But you look at just Jawan's progress. Jawan had 2 bad runs in the Texas A&M game, and he attained that himself where he wasn't patient and didn't get to the hill line and force some things. Jawan is just turning into an every down back where he's running the ball extremely effectively. He's catching the ball out of the backfield. He's offering us nice protection when we need it back there. And that's what, from game 1 to game 2, that's what you want to see is progress. I think we saw that from every position.
With the running game, it looked like Brandon Hamilton was later in the game. Luke Turner, you look like you with Davis and Dillard mostly, but... We
did. One of the things, we haven't used our owl this season yet with Luke Turner, but that's something that we're going to always be good at. And Brandon right now, that's just where he is. But he's a very talented running back, and Brandon will also be the special teams player of the week for his tackles and his performance on those other units. So he's contributing in a lot of other ways than just at running back. We're really, really pleased with Brandon. And, and with Derek Jawan, when those 2 guys are performing the way they are, it's sometimes hard to get a rotation going. But if you see, too, we're utilizing Bob or Luke Turner in a lot of other capacities where we're using him kind of as that motion fullback and tight end. So he's getting a number of plays. It's just not where he's the ball carrier quarterback right now.
Coach, last week you mentioned a lot about pace and tempo. Will the difference in style of what A&M presents and what ODU brings this weekend, will it be basically the same or just adjusting? Well,
ODU does use tempo. They will spread you out. That's one of the things with that quarterback, that's what they do. He can beat you with his arm, he can beat you with his feet. They go up-tempo. They're a lot like us as far as being up-tempo and slowing it down, trying to use the clock when they need to. It's not where their foot's just on the gas, the entire time. But that's, our tempo. I thought we used that effectively last Saturday. We did have the ball 43 minutes, but we also ran 93 plays.
Going back to the defense, you talked about tackling. That was something James Radcliffe kept harping on last week's presser. How pleasing was that to see as a coach? It's 2 games in, and you guys are not only talking about it, but they're backing out, what they say they're going to do.
Well, that's, there's 2 really benchmarks there. The first one we looked at this year was how many missed tackles we had against A&M a year before, and we cut it in half. You look at how many missed tackles we had against Notre Dame in that first ball game, and a lot of those guys that had those missed tackles eliminated them week 2. A lot of that anymore is those missed tackles in the first game. That's more my fault than the team's fault, because you just don't scrimmage live as much as you used to. So we'd only given them really 2 full opportunities to tackle live and in space. So prior to that opener against Notre Dame. So it's nice to see those numbers going down, because that's what football has turned into so much, is you got to have the ability to tackle in space, and that's what Kevin and the Aggies do so well, is they create that space and try to create mismatches, and I was really pleased with how our guys were able to tackle. We had very few missed tackles in this game.
On the depth chart, there's Jordan Taylor. Is he playing?
You know what, that'd probably be a Wednesday decision, but he did run this morning, so he is active and on the grass running. Connor Sella has been cleared to play this week. So that's nice to get him back.
Got to be mixed emotions about the defensive line with the injuries, but at the same time, some unheralded players have really stepped up, and that was A&M they were playing against Saturday
Yeah,
night.
I was so pleased when, you know, Zach Pack hurt his groin, Christian, Ross Winship, but you saw the Bradley Luthenders, you saw Cody Hennessy, Grayson Shines, Grant Peterson, a lot of these guys that hadn't got a lot of play stepped up there, and I really thought they competed well every snap. And I was really proud of those guys. We've asked them, that's what teams do, you know, you very rarely do you win with a healthy club, and you gotta have guys step up to the plate. Also, when Julius White went out, Garrett Furman and Zach Espinosa stepped in and played admirably. You know, it's now, I think we're talented from the senior class to the freshman class, and so they don't have a lot of reps, but they are talented young men that we're filling in with now.
Coach, you didn't mention Christian Covington or Ross Winship. What is their status?
I think we'll probably have them both Saturday. They're listed, right now Christian's listed as out. Ross Winship is listed as limited. And as we get into the week, we'll see where they are. But talking to Christian, he feels pretty confident that he's going to be able to come back. We are, just to be cautious, going to have him get an MRI this afternoon. But he's saying he's feeling a lot better and he's feeling strong, and the swelling isn't significant.
How difficult was that, though, to see him go down to the second play?
It was actually the first play.
Was it the first play?
You know, you hate it for any young man that puts into it what these guys put into it. From, you know, they go to work last January and you only get 12 guaranteed opportunities. And, you know, it's hard when you lose one of your defensive leaders, but that's what we're just talking about. Somebody's got to step up. I mean, this is the greatest game there is, but there's always people that have to step up and make a new story. And that's where I was so pleased with this entire football team.
Is Julius, anything on him?
Well, he's the same way. He's listed as out today, but we'll have to see where that goes. I think there is a pretty good chance that we will have him back for Saturday.
Coach, last week the turf at Kyle Field much criticized, and obviously this week the challenges aren't there playing at home. Is there a difference in the footing and what the players have to deal with?
No, I mean, we have the same cleats we wore there, we'll wear here. You know, that's behind us, and I just look forward to playing a home game. Time to be at home after 2 on the road.
David, I know you're limited on calls and stuff, which you can say, but in terms of the ones where now there's evidence that they had 11 guys on the field, did you get any kind of explanation during the game or after, or is it something that you submit with your plays that you do each week to the league office asking for more on that particular field goal play?
It is, and you know, really by Conference USA rules, I'm not supposed to comment on the officiating, but that is something we've sent in looking for explanation and interpretation.
How different is that? I mean, we're not talking about that play necessarily, but at the end of the half, if they're going in 21-10, once it's over, what do you say to your team? I mean, how do you get that?
Well, you know what, you just talked to them about how it happened, and this is, you know, we're in here, what it ought to be, and what it coulda, shoulda, and you just gotta re-motivate them at halftime. Really, it doesn't require a lot. They're smart kids. You know, you remind them, and they had a belief in the first quarter we were going to win, in the second quarter, in the third quarter. I thought we played hard throughout that entire football game. And you know, there's a lot too. You teach them. You know, football's got so many life lessons in them, so many things you can't control in day to day, and you got to put it behind you. And you got to pick yourself up and you know, go play hard, or you know, something's going to happen to them when they graduate. It's not going to be planned. You got to pick yourself up and just, you know, really, it's so many life lessons out there, and that's one of them. You know, you don't have time to pout. You want to make a difference in this world. And we talked to them too. You know, Coach Thurman did an excellent job. Is the future starts now? Is one of the things the defense is saying. And the future starts now. And that's how we're approaching it. That's how we're looking at it. We're going to be a better football team because we've played Notre Dame and we've played Texas A&M when we hit Conference USA. We know that a lot of the things we didn't do have been exposed, and we've corrected them. Does anybody want to be 0-2? No. It burns in your stomach when you lose it. It's hard to sleep when you lose. But it also motivates you to do something about it, get better, and I think that's what this coaching staff is doing, and I think certainly know that's what this football team is doing.
One last question for me. Can you talk about how critical it is to have good special teams? Sometimes it makes a difference in the game.
Well, always, there's always the hidden yardage, Nate, in a game of your net punting of, your punt return yardage. It builds up, it makes a difference. That was the tough part on Bryce's punt return, where we finally flipped the field, and we're going to get a short field. That whole game, we were having field position. We always have to go a long way. We finally flipped the field, you get a penalty. But that's how, critical those plays are. When you can shorten your field, the odds go way up on point production. And we'll keep emphasizing it. We'll keep getting better at it. You look at in that game how our kickoff coverage team played. I mean, we did a pretty good job. The only thing I didn't like was the kick return team. We had some communication error. That's on us as coaches, and we got to make sure we get those guys over there communicating. But, that's another thing. We'll get that improved.
We know we're down 14-0 against A&M, then Bryce comes back and hits that big touchdown to Mario. What type of call do you have there?
What was a double move, where if you noticed, that Mario Hole ran it looked like a quick hitch, and Dreyfus pumped it, and then he, pushed up vertically, so it was a double move route, and they have a very aggressive corner over there, and, we were hoping that he would bite on it, and he did. It was a great throw, and great throw by Dreyfus, a great catch. We also, when you do that, though, your offensive line's got to offer you a little longer protection than normal. The offensive line, gave Dreyfus the time he needed to throw the ball down the field.
All right, and then you face Everett Golson and then Kenny Hill, now a quarterback that's coming up. What are you telling your secondary about another opposing passer?
Well, that's the one thing. You'd sure hope Golson and Hill are preparing us for this guy. Because Heinicke, he's very good. He's right up there with him. I know it's their first year in FBS, but you look at the numbers, the total yardage, you look at his touchdowns. I think last year he threw for over 4,000 yards and 33 touchdowns. That's pretty good. There's a reason he's on the O'Brien watch list. He's just the next great quarterback we're going to face.
Anything else?
All right. Thank you all very much. We do it. We appreciate